FaZe's pace. Here inside map 2 in Chalet, FaZe were able to have a couple of moments, but it almost sparked TSM. That first round, that could be the all chat heard around the world.
It could be. It's like you really get a Windows situation, you know what I mean? Sophia first removed, though. FaZe deciding to take that one out. And that is going to be a big bit of utility gone.
It's not the first time it's been removed against them. It was removed by Makers.
All right.
They played against TSM, and it kind of threw them a bit. They didn't quite have their similar build-up.
7-4, right?
It was, and we've seen what they've been able to do, obviously, in the hands of Bolo. To be fair, most operators are, but running that Zephyr, he's been able to bite back on some of those attacking rounds. Makers removed it from the play pool, and TSM were a little bit stumped. Here is the second time that we're seeing that, the double down, and I guess, is it the extension of, have they learnt a couple of lessons of how to keep the control without it, or are we going to see, I guess, a little bit more of trying to cover the gap of Zephyr?
That's the big question. We'll surely see the answer soon, as Valkyrie also being removed, not having the extra information here in play. As I'm quickly scrolling over. As Clubhouse back then, indeed, Makers banning out the Sophia against TSM, as you just said. TSM then going for a Valkyrie Thatcher ban. Well, we only got one of those now, but both are removed of the board. Either way, Reading Room Fireplace, the first site we will find ourselves inside of Cafe, and it will be FaZe that starts off on that defense. We see a smoke being 6 picked out to mute, which is, well, some people would say weird because it's going to be harder to try and deny these plants from happening, but that means that they might be relying more on their top floor hold. So they will be using these mute jammers, the overlords, to make sure that the drones are not allowed to go through and that TSM will have to go in blind to try and clear out that top floor. And if they're unable to do so, well, that means that these vertical holes will be above the doors, and that basically disables them from trying to go for the plant in the reading room.
Yeah, it restricts, and that's the main thing in this situation. Restricting a team that is otherwise very good on executes. We've seen FaZe play this map against BDS, and the executes were exceptional. But in a little bit of a blow-up moments, as some people sort of noticed, a bit repetitive. And BDS were able to punish some of those repetitions. The first time that we saw the FaZe execute on the top with the smokes, the deep Capitao bolts and all of the cover, and then they snuck in and got the plant, fantastic. The second time, it wasn't almost as solid, but then we saw it a third time. And it's down to, I guess, TSM to pick up on the responses on those on the turn of the half. So they've got to try and build themselves up because, as we said, we already have a demonstration of how good FaZe are attacking this map.
Chief making sure these hatches get opened up. There is no C4 waiting this time around to be tossed up. You sometimes see that as well, especially early on. If it would have been Cyclops, you knew there would have been like 5 flying out at this point forward. But they have been sent home. Thus not having to worry about that kind of aggression here, as Astro, the first one to fall, and Bolo getting the kill.
Yeah, very quick drop there from Bolo, who's able to swing around and get the body. Not 100% sure where that was. I think he was up on the top.
I think it's New Balk.
Yeah, on the New Balk, hiding on the little corner there, so it's a very quick removal. You've lost the mute, you've lost obviously that close shotgun in case they went for a swing and a bit of a pinch push pressure here, but it allows TSM the ability to steady on with their collapse on the rest of the floor. Make sure that they have themselves their rotation and angles. He's a bit concerned that someone might swing in, because TSM does often play that game. But with Achieved, he's crept his way all around into Fireplace. There's a bullet hole from Cyber on the backside.
Drone being taken out right after as well, and this allows FaZe to try and get back into it just a little bit, but Bolo able to pick up a kill. It's going to be turning it back into a TSM favor as he gets a second.
No, that's his third now, locked off as Gio's going to try and stick the plant with the ground that was made up earlier. They've actually dug themselves in on the close corners, and Souls and Bullet are separated on the opposite sides. Bullet went for a big rotate round the bottom of the red stairs, gave the game away, and they're trying to find where this diffuser went down. They're not entirely sure what site and what play in place it's been put, but it was dug in on that close corner where they thought there was still some control. Quad kill for Bolo now as he digs himself in. He's trying to find every single member of FaZe, and they've crept around the backside and the back stairs, holding on and thinking there might be a rotation from Zulu, but look at this, TSM, they're not swinging. Merc locks it off. You want to ban Zafir? Fine. We'll give the man Ash, and he's going to take all of you on.
There's not going to be a very healthy prospect here for FaZe, the way they just got shut down. Now, I have to say, their setup to some extent worked because it was focused on making sure no reading room plans would be happening. So they wanted to keep that top floor control that allows you to play these verticals if necessary. However, TSM, they found the answer. You can just go to the other bomb site. We just killed the man in train, we just killed the man that is on the white stairs, and we dug in deep and make sure that that bomb goes down.
That's it. It's so much confidence because obviously we saw Achieved creep his way all the way around, lost to the bullet hole, which is something that FaZe has done a fair few times on their defenses on Coastline, especially.
Yeah,
there's the early kill, over the top of the Bauk. Here's the bullet hole, which again, it's a game FaZe loves to play, and it works. But look at this, Bolo just took the time and the initiative, went his way around the back as they were still reinforcing and still setting up across the board, locking it off, drew so much attention to that site. And that's why they weren't quite sure where the diffuser was going down, because Bolo had taken a site by himself of his own merit, as Gio had gone, I'm just going to plant over on the dining table.
Why not? You have Bolo on the other side, just wreaking havoc, making sure that everybody is being decimated as soon as they start walking in. And, well, you know, if you're carrying that lunchbox, why not put it down? Because why not? You know, it's an objective game after all, and make sure you pat your cost a little bit in the result, and that gives us a first round here for TSM, a very convincing one at that. And then you're going to be a bit thinking about FaZe. All right, so your setup was to make sure that you would hold off to the top floor as long as you possibly can, and then, okay, you lose one player. And then TSM decided, you know what, we don't have to attack the top floor, actually. We could just go for something else. And it worked out perfectly fine. But that does mean that if FaZe want to play that game again, they will have to be very careful about TSM's ways.
So I think Cameraman's holding close on the entrance there on the bottom of the white stairs, seeing if he can swing round as soon as somebody pops onto that little just corner. But they're not taking that point of ingress. They have the option, obviously, to hop out and apply some pressure elsewhere if need be. There's a camera and there's a Bolo, so he's going to remove that pretty quickly. The concern from Pillars is a fair one paid. There's nobody to offer this support. Pepper's a bullet, but pops over the top before Cyber can lock it off and get that opener of a man. He knew how isolated he was, and he knew how much of a risk in the situation he was in, because he knows that FaZe play aggressively. They love to respond to these problems, and TSM want to make sure that they keep that momentum on their half.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Gonna drop down the red hatch here, putting up some pressure to, or creating some angles rather, to find themselves potentially a kill into the freezer if they do manage to make that one work. It is often used, and as you can see right here, Merc holding that angle. Player inside freezer would be very, very stuck in there. And Desi will proceed to hold it, just to make sure that there is no way FaZe can move in, and they have a bit of damage done, and Cyber still manages to live though, but just barely.
The pressure comes onto Pixel now. They saw the head. They're trying to burn and break that shield, and there it goes. But they have this adaptation. This is why Goyo's removed by TSM. It gives a lot of teams who love this style another couple of shields to pull themselves back in. So say if this one dropped, they'd often have another one just on the front of Freezer as well, and it really limits and it cuts off that style, that hold. Cyber, in the meantime, he's dropped and he's watching and waiting towards the heavens and heaven to see if he can take care of anybody that drops on that new hatch. But TSM have otherwise found their way entirely inside. They're not swinging wide as of yet. They're looking to secure a little bit more space, so we can see the blue bodies of FaZe going for wider rotates. There's one round the back of the stairs, no longer, as Merc cooks and fishes and finds a man. Drops Cameraman, and another bullet hole is the hold here that Astro's trying to make round the backside of the opposite split. It's the drop. Turns away at the worst possible time as he swings around the back of Lumber, finds one, almost finds two, can't quite connect it as Bullet goes for the drop in the rotation with Cyber. They have in their pockets a C4, which could be a big blow, but with a triple coming from Gio, you've got to be able to do a little bit more at this moment in time. Holding on in 10 seconds, wants to strike at the worst possible angle. Drops one, they had the game, they had the trade, and TSM have a second round.
C4 got tossed in, not effective right there, and as I said, like I was tapping at the screen, like, that's a living drone right now. He's going to be giving away the game if he tries to come up the white stairs to go for the flank, and exactly that happened. He secured the kill, instantly got shot down right after, and TSM shouting their lungs out as soon as they won that round. are finding themselves on a 2-round lead here on Cafe, and FaZe are now being tossed up to that tertiary side. And that grenade is what started it all off. That is the smoke suddenly gone. No more smoke canisters to try and slow them down. And you get that control of the little bathroom as well, which just allows you to get all these different angles. And with that, they secure themselves the round. And happy that they are.
There it is. There's that energy, and there's 2 rounds in a row, the openers of their attacks. This is a very different energy we're getting from TSM, as we saw earlier on. That second map win has really bolstered their confidence. Still, FaZe, as you said, they're rotating themselves around. They're heading down to Kitchen. They're kind of keeping their pace on an attempt of, okay, well, let's keep going, keep manipulating. If we find a bit of success here, then this becomes the start of our 3-site rotation. They're not going to try and hit their heads against it, because so far, the way that we can boil down those 2 rounds is in the intermediate moment, it's very tough to come up with a solution for what TSM has done. The first round, they dug deep, and they put pressure on both sides at the same time.
Yeah, the first round you had Bolo on the A side and the rest of TSM on the B side.
Yeah, and you think, how do you respond to that? Okay, well, let's move to the next site. And there, it was, they were trying big rotations. We saw the run-out kill. We saw them maneuvering underneath. But TSM just took that opportunity to push the site.
Yeah, they did, and the angles are being held, and it allows for no rotation, and you just need to win your gunfights in that point, but TSM is putting themselves up with the best possible angles they can find. It's very hard to try and challenge that. Right now, openings are being created. I believe that's a bandit with an M870 waiting close around the corner, and also, no, actually doesn't have a C4 available to toss over, is carrying the barbed wire. Potentially put down inside of the small bakery, but the flanks are coming around, but the grenade is going to be coming up right above him. It's going to fall in between the reinforcement and the actual soft wall, however, and that means that he's going to stay alive just for now, though.
Goes deep, goes under, and he goes deep too. He swings round, but look at that, Souls with a double and a triple.
What?
As he swings round the backside. They went for a counter push, and it worked. FaZe, they're able to find a bit of momentum. They realized we need to respond. We need to get aggressive and battle back against them, and they entirely swarmed into small bake.
Watch this replay, because we're going to get all the kills that were missed originally, because we were so occupied with the bakery push where they were trying to get rid of the bandit. And in the meantime, 3 FaZe members decided, let's push small bakery together. Let's go on a little expedition to try and go for the flank, and able to pick up all the kills as a result. FaZe able to pick up their round, their defensive round, and that means, as you just said, they're starting their rotation from here. Reading room fireplace, the first site we went to, is back on the board. This is the side where Bolo got a quad kill and basically single-handedly opened up the site and allowed his teammates to go for the planters. There you have it, the spray, the double, the triple even. Oh, beautiful.
They had the cover, and it was just missing from TSM. They got a little bit blinkered, a little bit too confident. And confidence was what punished previously.
I was going to say, did they have a nomad? Because they do now, which would be very, very logical after the flank that just came through. I'm going to check that. We'll find out in a couple of seconds. Either way, it is a good round from FaZe, but I don't think it is going to be one that you can repeat the kind of push they just managed to make. Because if you're going to try that again, once you go back, TSM will have a flank drone just waiting there for you, and they did have a nomad. Okay, well in that case, I have no clue how to manage to dig themselves so deep into small bake. Either way,
one mistake was punished massively.
Very massively, because everybody gets sprayed down in 1 second.
And that's the main thing about FaZe, though. They're so good at punishing mistakes. They find an opportunity, and they completely swarm full passion, full aggression towards it, and have moments like that. Here, adaptations across their hold on the top. The mirror is the stack up now. Instead of having those procedural shields that they fell back, they've got these longer angles from a bit deeper. They're going to say, well, okay, you can have a little bit more of the close ground, but instead we're going to have these big angles, these big problematic lockouts all the way from Lumber down to the backside of Piano and Christmas. Try and cross that cigar door. We dare you.
He's going to have to drop real quick. Oh, he's going to stay. Oh, no, okay.
Not very long.
He's going to stay, but the second drone comes in underneath, and they would have been very well aware of the fact that he didn't drop in that case. I was going to say it can work out if the mute jammers are located well. However, you know, we're talking about this mirror window setup, but the vertical control wasn't really the issue the last time around. So I'm not sure how much this is going to add if TSM would just decide to go for a horizontal push again. Because if you look at it, there's 3 or 4 members upstairs. That leaves very little manpower down on the actual site. And, well, TSM, they have been on fire these last couple of matches. So if they are going to be finding themselves in a situation where they have to outgun 1 player to 5, they will win.
Well, Astro slips away, but there is the cross of the cigar door I talked about, and Merc suffers as he makes a very daunting journey. With the hatch open, leading down to the train room, you can see Astro is kind of jostling for a little bit of position. They have the extension, and Bolo might be the one that goes to try and meet them. He's going to get a lockdown on the back of White Stairs. He's obviously concerned about the pillars run out and anyone that might go a little bit deeper, but as the flashes start to come round, they need that bit of support. They need that little bit of extra pressure. It's over the top. It's double bodies, and there's Bolo for 1. The call comes out, he's behind you, and he drops down and pulls himself away, but that allows Charla, and that allows Achieved to move off, to get a new position, to get themselves in a little bit of an adaptation. They kind of cut off the aggression that FaZe wanted, and now, well, they're prepped to get a bit of a response here as Bolo, he heads his way back up on the rope.
Waited for the flashbang to pop, so there would be no sound on the player out there. To go for the repel. Nitro will go out, but will not find anything. 30 seconds left on that clock. TSM, they need to make sure that they move quickly now, and it seems like they're just going to run on the top floor. On the site right there, Souls will spray down 1, but will he find more?
Well, they've got the beat on the one inside, but they didn't quite have the big rotation there as Bolo gets 1 more. There's another one, and there's a cold diffuser. They've got to get it up and see if they can stick it down. As they hop down, he's going to go for kills. He wants to swing around on the close corners now. They've got to try and apply some pressure onto the door. They're holding close. There goes the barbs. There goes the swing. There goes the diffuser yet again, and there goes another FaZe round.
There was no time. They wanted to go for that top floor control, which is, of course, understandable when you want to go for a reading room plant, but they just needed to be a very little bit quicker there. Especially when Bolo just managed to take down the kill onto the White Stairs. Yes, there's another person playing there, but you still need to make sure that that kill is not going to be without any further consequences. And, well, Cyber going aggressive right here. It starts it all off, but as I said, Bolo in such a good position, able to, well, basically pin the player on the White Stairs, stuck on the middle part. Try and go for a little bit of a pinch in that case and work from there on. Either way, FaZe able to bring it back. We're in a 2-2 situation now, and after TSM started off so strong, this might be FaZe getting back into it here. They managed to get a 3rd round out. They will, well, be okay with that, but not very content. I assume they want to go for 4. 3 would be a good start, especially since TSM was able to pick up the first 2 rounds without really being punished. So let's see if they can continue from here on.
FaZe have more of this confidence now around themselves. They have more of this idea of, okay, we've been able to pull a couple of these rounds back. They're locking off some of these moments. Bolo's 92. He's having the best game out of the series that he's had so far.
Yep.
He wasn't really anywhere on coastline. He was locked down a lot on his defenses, and then they didn't have too much time on their attacks. Then, as they stepped in, we saw more of him on Chalet, and now we're seeing him start to light up and start to dig in aggressively. And it's a little bit of a slow start for FaZe in the same camp, but a couple of bouts of confidence, a couple of these rotation moments, and suddenly they are manipulating again. They are back in this moment of we've shepherded 1 or 2. We've been able to put some pressure down on them, and the guns that were firing off so well in the middle map, like Merc, and obviously like Charla, they haven't quite been able to hit that just yet.
I'm wondering how effective the Sophia Ben was.
I mean,
based on the performance we've seen so far. I mean, he forced Merc off to the Maverick, I assume.
Yep.
Because he was the Ash before, and then, you know, of course they swap out a little bit. But, you know, he does have grenades now, and the grenades have been used quite well. It seems like they're going to be going for a bit of a quick control into Piano. If it isn't for Merc trying to descend these stairs. Getting a yellow ping right there, might be trying to go for a challenge.
Yeah, he's pre-firing towards roughly where they are, but they're behind a lot of heavy train things, so they're not going to suffer from those loose billets. Cyber has the cross to make sure if anyone tries to descend red stairs and go for the quick pusher, they can't get it, and now he has an angle to say, well, I'm here, so you guys are stuck in a very tight corner. They have to make an option here. Either try and go for a bit of a debonair aggressive push against Pixel, which it seems like they are, and take the space that way, and suddenly Bolo's able to pop around the corner and force.
We got it.
No. They couldn't quite get the shield. There it goes, but look at Astro underneath. He's going to move with this play. He's going to move with this momentum as they now pop open the bathroom too.
Bullet try to go for a bit of quick aggression right here, but will be forced all the way to planks. And that is going to be making it that there is a bit more free space here for TSM to try and move with. As grenades are being used to try and attempt and get the Evil Eye, but it bounces off, and that means it will stay on for now. Still one more grenade left in the pocket, though.
It was a Wormeye disc that caught that grenade there as it swung on through. They've doubled down on controlling all that ranged aggression here. So TSM, they're struggling to find just a way in at this moment. Doesn't toy with the idea of that just yet. Concerned and might need it somewhere else. Now as they go deep, they're going to burn on the close side. They're covering it, but Souls is sheltered by that soft wall that's just to his left on that little bit of a bar. Achieved with another grenade. Wants to bounce it round, but there's the disc that caught the first. Wants to swing the second as Merc opens it up, and Geo is going to stick the plant. Just caught them with the damage done before, and Geo, he's going to make sure that this sticks on the ground. Gets another as Achieved swings round. It's big cover and an Alder that goes burr, but not enough, and Bolo finds the full stop on a round where suddenly we're starting to heat back up in the TSM camp.
A double kill here from the Jaeger with the 416 just moving through, but unfortunately not enough. It was, well, too many people peeking too quickly. Maybe if he had the 5 extra bullets, he would have been able to get that kill. And maybe he would have been able to go back in. No, but 2v3 in the scoreline now, and TSM, they have the lead yet again. And let's see if they can extend this lead into a 4-round one, or at least a 4-2. Make sure that they have the opportunity to go big onto their defensive half themselves. Kitchen service, kitchen cooking is the site we go to. Now, important to note here is that during the previous time we saw this attack from TSM, it was very bakery focused, very bakery centered. And the response of FaZe was to just move 3 people into small bakery and shut them down whilst they were trying to deal with the bandit who had the MH70 in his hands. And it worked.
It did. Will this time an air jab be the difference in the story?
Who knows?
If it's placed in the position, I mean, you assume that the body that's going to watch from small bake window
is going to be a bit more active.
Should exist.
Yeah, he was there, just a little bit late. Like his whole team died, and then he started to challenge.
Yep.
It's a bit too late. You want to do it right before your whole team dies, so you can try and pick up these kills. Either way, 2-on-3, TSM in the lead. They have the opportunity now to secure themselves a second round of an advantage during this half. And that would be a very good one, considering they started out on the attack. We'll be going to the defense right after, as per usual. And that would really allow them to start building towards that map and match point.
Now the big run as they separate themselves here and go for this clear all the way from the top. They're trying to trickle down and see if they can make sure that there's no loose bodies and players around. The verticality was ignored before. They dedicated themselves solely to that bakery and said, we can take this and take the world.
Yep.
And they were proved wrong. They were punished for the hubris. They flew too close to the FaZe clan branded sun, and that swung around a bakery and shot them all in the back of the head. So this time they're not going to make the same mistake. They're going to make sure that they can get over the top. You have that sledge. You have that potential. Yeah, sure, FaZe are great with C4s, but you have this caution about you because you've learned this lesson, and you've obviously learned the lesson of, well, let's not try and throw ourselves in from one angle. Let's do this precursor work, because we know that when push comes to shove and we need Geo to get in and get the diffuser down, that's a great consistency for us as TSM.
I'm kind of worried, though, considering there's not a single roamer on that middle to top floor. That would be putting up a bit of pressure here for TSM whilst they try and get control of that top floor and put up some verticals as well. Electroclaw will be taken care of, and that means they can now start working and opening up that hatch as well, whilst, well, Bolo still taking...
Please don't tell me he's going to hot drop.
No, okay, he's not. He's going to move up. I was going to say as well, is he going to hot drop? It shouldn't definitely be.
I think what he was waiting for was a C4.
Potentially.
And he was just going to hold up on the hard reinforcement, see if he could get the angle on the opposite side. But either way, they're able to start popping utility. This is all of this groundwork that they didn't really do before. It's the big change of pace of how TSM's doing it. As I said, it's trickled down. They're shepherding, they're pushing people out, they're trying to make them uncomfortable.
Banshee's still down or in the freezer, and that means if they will drop, Cyber is in a really good spot to try and pick them off one by one, and he is being covered himself by his shield, 2 discs, and I believe even a night. Oh, that's a good grenade! I believe he might have got caught there though, as no kill comes in, but it could have been a double if it was cooked properly, and now the Nitro comes in.
There's the C4 and there's Bolo, but Astro's there to make sure he doesn't quite have the role he had before. Charla wants to swing close onto VIP, but can't quite get the right angle, so Geo, as I said, the man is determined, and that is the one determination to stick this diffuser and kill people in the midst of the trades too, but Cyber has the bit of the drop down angle on the far side. They know where he is and he just gets one more. Charla tried to swing into it and suddenly Merc is isolated and very disconnected from where the diffuser is. They're well aware of the entrance he wants to take. He has to dig close, find one fight before even beginning to try and find the other, stuck on a chassis, and Cyber with a triple kill from the backside of Freezer. You said he could be the big player, but I don't think you expected it that way.
Well, I mean, I didn't expect the feet hold to be the deciding factor, right? Well, that's why they're there, right? Let's just start that off.
It is.
That's why they're always being made. Just so in case that you're allowed to play it, you play it like that, you win the round. But TSM should have taken care of that. They should have either taken care of the player or they should have taken care of the wall so they could at least fight back. Well, neither of that happened, and they didn't decide to stick the plant in the end. They lost as a result of it, and that means we're now equalized. It's 3-3. And it's FaZe now on that attack. We see the Kali being brought out. We see the Ace being swapped out for a Hibana. And it is TSM that will be going to Reading Fireplace first. We see the Castle, which will help them with that setup. The question, of course, being, is that going to help for the bottom floor setup or for the top floor setup? There was even 2 Banshees inside of the freezer drop there.
Well, last time it was 3-3 between these two teams. It was the halftime on Coast. And that was suddenly very much FaZe branded as we found ourselves spreading slightly further in. But the big difference is that was FaZe heading to their defense.
Yeah, now they're under attack.
Yeah, this is now them trying to respond. Head over onto their attacks in this situation instead and try and test what TSM put forward. They are good at their attacks on this map, but as we highlighted at the very beginning, sometimes repetitive. Sometimes they don't do necessary adaptations when they're being punished, hoping, you know, trust in the process, and the process will come through. It's a fair game strategy, unless your opponents are very good at their creative adaptations, with TSM on their day can be.
Definitely have that opportunity. Now FaZe putting up the pressure. So they're seeing a couple of them go to the roof, as of course those hatches will have to open up first, and the Capitão is being brought. I'm just wondering where we will see it being used. Are they going to go for a reading room plant, or will we see something completely different? As there is many different opportunities they could go for here.
The Kali is curiosity. For this sake, I think they expected a slightly different position in terms of being able to utilize destroying it. Kitchen, obviously, you have Bakery to give yourself that little bit of a buffer on the top as well. There's not too much hard destruction, but you have huge angles, and maybe if you want to start cracking open the big wall on the backside of the main space around Piano or around that sort of close wall towards the default across Freezer, it's great. Here, you have the wall on pillars, but there's not too much outside of that. So I think Kali might be in a little bit of a tricky situation. She tries to make the best of, I don't think they expected this.
See the Slange quickly taking care of the castle barricades that were located throughout the eastern side of these windows, whilst FaZe are taking some quick top control. The question, however, will be, are they going to be able to take control of the white hallway quickly enough to make sure that they can put the pressure onto Geometric and Merc from 2 actual sites at the same time?
Well, pre-firing down Fireplace, they know they like to move fast, and I said they might not be effective, so they're going to prove me wrong. Gets the opener, but Bolo pushes deep and just doesn't survive. Bullet catches the end. You can see Cameraman round the back corner, and there's Souls getting one more. But actually, Bullet takes it. Now it's a 4 versus 2, a perfect execute over the top of the white stairs there and over that top floor, and now they can start really beating down on the bearings inside this library. Achieved is looking for something as Charla suffers on the split side, holding onto the bottom of white, holding around the rotation and the swing. They are tapping towards him now, and he's found himself suffering without being able to get anything back.
Achieved every single time he goes off. He's just missing the shot, and the grenade will be securing a kill. Souls at least will go down. It's a start. Needs to find 3 more. Will be able to almost get the second. His bullet will just barely survive. But there's still 30 seconds left. It's plenty of time here for FaZe to try and make something work, but he downs the diffuser. Cameraman, however, just quickly enough to make sure that Achieved will not do more than that and gets the refrag.
Well, I shouldn't have questioned FaZe bringing that, Carly. They just applied massive pressure with it. We saw the pops against the utility on the far side, and then they just took the fight. And I guess, okay, that's how I'm used to seeing Carly versus how it's bought in this region, is they just go aggro with it. They push deep with it, deeper than you'd expect. They trust that they can swing and get those pops, and it worked perfectly.
Just need one shot.
Hopped up on a bar and dropped the second.
Oh, you see that headshot, just a quick peek coming through, and oh, you're going to be quite accurate with such a high zoom scope. And you only need one shot, especially when you hit the head with that rifle. That is going to be making sure there is going to be a headache on that operator. Either way, FaZe, they retake the lead. Are they going to be able to hold on to it? As we will be moving into the kitchen. Now, we saw FaZe struggle themselves, well, TSM struggled themselves on their attack right here when, well, they wanted to go for the plant, but they didn't really pay attention to the player inside of Christmas, who shot down 3 people through the ankle holes.
Yeah, it was a danger play. It was, let's go for it, and to be fair, Gio almost did. He was in a position where he was planting the diffuser, then got a kill, and then started planting the diffuser again.
And then got another kill.
Yeah, as you do.
I should just casually do.
And then they found themselves suffering from a single place. And I think the big, I guess, trouble for TSM on their attacks was their flank watch in Charla hasn't been having the great game. They haven't really been able to dig into any of the firefights that they're otherwise usually so good at. We've seen them have such big plays at making sure that that back line is solid. It is that massive setup of just trouble on the backside. And so far, Charla in that role hasn't quite been able to make the mark hit. And that's probably the reason TSM are being punished and why they haven't been able to lock off more of these rounds.
Oh, I should say, that is his role. And that's often where the Charla appreciation posts come from.
Yeah, just type Charla.
Where people just type Charla.
Chat type Charla.
Probably will do now as well.
100%.
That's a quick smoke actually being used there. Cameraman covering himself, allowing him to move through. Also, Kocek, a push seems to be coming in. This is going to be a rush.
Yep, they are smoking. They are moving. There's a man hopped up on the bomb. He does. I was going to say he can't quite get it, but look at this. That is TSM responding yet again to another rush. FaZe have tried this a few times.
Yeah, they have.
Has it been successful against TSM yet?
Once, actually.
Once.
Just once. It worked. I think out of the 3 or 4 times they've tried to go for the rush rate. And I mean, it is a good opportunity to try and go for it. It's just unfortunate if there is someone above mowing you down as you start moving in.
It doesn't make it easier.
It doesn't make it easier. And I think they put down a smoke in a position where they thought they would cover up the vertical angle, but it was a bit too short. So if they would have taken a little bit more time to get it in properly, it might have actually worked out, and they would have had 2 more men to try and overrun the site with. But there we have it. That is going to be a very quick round here for TSM. They're going to be able to find ourselves back on 4-4. And FaZe, they do not manage to stick their rush. But did you know what happened after the previous time they tried to go for a rush, Am?
I know, but I want you to tell me.
Oh, they went for another rush.
Oh, yes, they did.
Yes, they did. And it was actually successful that time.
I mean, they're the only team that really doubles down on that sort of thing. It's obviously a different position that they want to try and do this now on. They find themselves looking towards a different setup. There we go. I was like, it's weird without the game sound. And then it fades back in. It's always the thing where the body above, it's bad. It's worse when it's Bolo and he's 15-4.
Yeah, that's not helpful, especially not when, you know, Bolo is above, but you're also meeting an Alda on the horizontal angle that will just be spraying down 81 bullets in quick succession. So yeah, you know, not the best way to execute that route, you would say. But it's still a brave attempt, and the Frost is now being brought by TSM. Let's see whether or not they're going to be able to retake that lead themselves, or if FaZe is going to be allowed to run away with it.
You want to look towards Charla now as well. He's got 2 kills after pointing out that he couldn't quite find anything in. he's found an opener. And it was sort of gifted to him in a way, but at the same time, the response there, the relief at getting kills and putting yourself on the board and not becoming something where people play a clip of Blue singing a certain international theme song, that puts you in a really good headspace. And that allows you to start to go, okay, now we can start to bring this up. This is when you sit forward in your chair and you start to play, you know. And
gamer mode activated.
That's it. But FaZe, you know, it's now their job to see if they can pull some of that away. They've obviously got a similar story. Cameraman, who is such a big player for the team, who's playing a lot of these roles where he's a big part of all of their pushes and their takes. He's smoking Capitao around the back of White Stairs in the first round. He's making sure that there's always another presence around on the opposite side. He, again, hasn't quite been able to get in, but his role is a lot more of being in the right place.
He's an enabler.
Yeah, he's an enabler, and he's kind of locking that off at this point in time.
A bomb has been located.
Setting up a breaching charge there is not instantly being blown up. That might be used later on the round to give it a little bit. Oh, bullet, you didn't drone that out. That's just giving away a free kill to achieved. TSM get the entry. Also, I was explaining the use of the breaching charge to be a bit of a, well, distraction. This will not help. You cannot give away free kills like that. That should have been droned.
No, FaZe is looking to see if they can get revenge against Achieved, but long gone. He doesn't need to hang around there. He's well aware of that fact. He was able to strike. He's taken care of the sledge on this vertical site. He's taken care of the frag grenades on this vertical site. FaZe, they're very good with those. They often bring 4, but they're limited this time around, and they're doing it off their own sort of play and perspective. So instead, they're going to see if they can start putting their breach and the pressure in the meantime. Achieved, he's not too far away, though, and I think that's the big thing, is he could have gone away, he could have gone deeper. He's waiting for that time to get closer, because if he can cause a problem at that 15-second mark, that could turn into the biggest problem FaZe faced this round.
Oh, the Excaliburs will be shut off by Chala there, who just doubles down to try and make it. Mark, however, fails to get the kill down onto Cyber, and now the kills start flowing in.
There's Achieved round on that rotation, gets the 2 round the backside. I said he could be that big problem that strikes when the iron is hot, and he made sure that, well, it's hotter than anything, but that diffuser is cold and sitting right in front of his eyes, 20 seconds. And FaZe has to entirely try and close themselves down on them. They're in this 2 versus 2 situation as they creep steadily closer. It's a quad, but finally put out of their misery now. They're looking for this other angle, and now it's a different 2 versus 2, but Chala with a cross angle is the one that pushes TSM back ahead.
Cross angles really being set up hugely here. It's so hard to deal with it, especially if you're all alone. And again, a lot of information not being there on the side of FaZe. It all starts off with the entry kill, where just to jump in on the red stairs window, you get shut down from the red stairs, surprise. And from there on, you try and make up for it. And you do to some extent, however, you lose the diffuser in the process, and that will slow you down. As we are now in the tactical timeout of FaZe. You said it last game. They didn't pull it in that time. They will do it this time around. Knowing that if they lose the next round, they will be on map and match points behind. So this one, if any, is going to be the most important round for now into this matchup. And of course, they're only going to get more important the further we go. But this one is really going to be either shifting the tides or making sure that TSM is going to be continuing on their steamroll.
It's a big conversation. And as we said about TSM, they haven't throughout this tournament had a problem closing off maps. They've been more than happy to take them during traditional play, to take the map as it's given to them, and they haven't hit OT at all. FaZe have battled themselves to OT, and that's the difference maker here. That's the full stretch that we're potentially looking at, and that's what this conversation is. They want to make sure that if they are ending up on map point, it's either their discretion and their volition, or they're one step ahead. And they're starting to make these little mistakes of misdroning. Hell of a take there on the body that was above, but one loose player. If you would have seen this team, you would think it was a different team to the FaZe that we saw on Coast, where Achieved would never have gotten away with that. Okay, it's a very different map. It's a much smaller map, but FaZe were consistently making sure that the land that they had, that pocket of space, was locked off.
And that's not really coming through so far, as we're going to be seeing soon who is going to be able to take this next round. Round number 10. It's often a round where if it is as close as it is right now, we find out whether or not we are going to see a 5-5 situation where both teams still have the opportunity to fight for that initiative that you can have during the final round. Or if it is going to be TSM in this case, that is going to have 2 consecutive match points where the pressure is fully on FaZe, because if FaZe lose that round in that case, it would be them going to the lower bracket. It is a very powerful thing to have mentally, that one round, this one round.
Lower bracket, surprisingly stocked. I mean, some of the results we've had today, I'm not going to say them.
I know, and I'm as shocked as you are.
Very shocking.
Very shocking.
For all the people that were like, the surprise results are happening in groups because it's best of ones.
No, they're still happening.
Yo, go check out Liquipedia. Go check out CGG. Go have a look at some of the results that we've had so far today. And we're like halfway through the day.
I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with a Maker Sparabellum Grand Final at some point. It's not possible because both are in a lower bracket, but like, to be fair,
I mean, yeah,
at this point, anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
All right. 4-5. FaZe, they try their quick pushes every now and then and also fail them every now and then. And then, you know, they're trying to go a bit more methodical, but they forget to drone out a very important player in a very key position and achieved able to pick up a great opening kill. These are all small things that are going wrong for FaZe, and these are all small things they were discussing about during their tactical timeout. Are they going to be able to fix them? That is the big question. You see them all in their chairs, some more concentrated than others, and
it's a different energy.
It is a different energy.
It's a very different energy to what we've seen from them earlier on in the day. Still, when they're taking rounds, they have that big bit of momentum. We cannot overstate enough how different this environment is without an audience and without people cheering you on. It makes everything, it's more stressful because the room is just you. The room is just your voices. It was in the interview with NIP earlier where they said, you know, we're just, 6 voices playing a game. We're loud enough for us. And that's what you got to build upon because that's all you have here to build upon.
These are 2 loud teams, I can tell you that. I think TSM would give you the same answer. We're loud enough to cheer ourselves on. The FaZe would be the exact same, but the pressure is on. They started off really strong, a good map one. They took that first map lead, 7-3. TSM then taking it back on Chile, a 4-7. And now we're finding ourselves on potentially one of the last 2 or 3 rounds we will see here from these 2 teams today.
This is so cool.
It is such a cool shot.
It's a very cool room.
It was very cool when I saw the hammer come down for the first time as well. It's like,
yeah, the hammer ceremony.
I want to grab it so badly.
If you didn't see the hammer ceremony, if you missed the very opening of the day, the hammer descended.
Came back from orbit.
That was it. That was the SSG. They had to get it back from them. It fell.
Came back from the space station.
I asked if they would allow us to drop as well. Imagine Milos slowly descending on the high wires.
Yeah.
It would be beautiful. They said no. They said no amount of bribery will let us.
We're also not allowed to run away with the hammer. We have asked.
Right, we are getting back into the game in just a second. 5-4, TSM. They've been able to battle back, but it's always worth highlighting in this map, neither of these 2 teams has been able to thread more than 2 rounds in a row. It's been consistently back and forth here, and they've only ever just been able to be that 1 step ahead in this situation. There was a bit of a blip in the middle where who was ahead turned over to FaZe's favor, but instantly TSM have been able to claw their way back in. If they take this round, it'll be the first time a team has threaded 3 rounds together.
That is a big thing. It is a very big statistic as well to go in. And even more so in the pressure that it carries, that 3rd round in a row, because TSM would then be carrying on the momentum right after the tactical timeout that was called by FaZe. And if TSM then still proceed to win this round, they set themselves up for a map and match point, you have to say. And they would continue through the upper bracket if they win the next one. FaZe could be facing a lower bracket run if they don't manage to bring it back now. So they gotta hope, they really have to hope that their tactical timeout will be working out.
Okay, the extension here, and I feel like it goes without mentioning Warden. He doesn't see much play now. The Secret Services man. He sees a lot of times of being a 6th pick. And we've seen TSM sick pick him. We've seen him play him and then swap over to something else, because we know that the kind of plants that FaZe like to do, they're quick, they're aggressive, and that man is hot breaching right in. They're not wasting any time. They're digging themselves right in underneath. They expected this smoke plant and the smoke play and all of this pressure, but I think that's 3 drones potentially working underway for Cyber to see if he can just apply this pressure instantly underneath those bodies, which is the back line of this hold.
Also important to note is the cigar setup. We have a castle barrier located together with an Aruni laser gate, or surrogate, however you want to call it, and then a shield as well to block it off together with an ADS. This is literally what it all resolves around. If they lose control of that, so much utility just goes down the drain. It's such a power position they're setting themselves up from TSM. So Chala really in a key position. If he manages to stay alive there for a long time, then TSM have the opportunity, a very good opportunity, of securing this round. So keep your eyes on that position. It will come in play sooner rather than later.
Well, FaZe is going for this setup here on the opposite side. They're playing away, and they're going for a bit of a bounce around the backside. But look at the aggression of Merc. Underneath, Cameraman almost suffered from the run out, but Cyber has the lockout. He's been holding that position for such a long time, and finally it bears fruit, is achieved, is taken off the board. There comes the fire, but nobody is home to get burnt as of yet, but the pop-off starts to come through. Merc gets one, can't lock the second. It's the cover from the Kali all the way from across Christmas Corner. As Chala smokes off the back of the white stairs, so he gets the clean rotation all the way background. But look, there's so much time for FaZe Clan now to reassess, rebuild, and put pressure on with their man advantage. Bolo is in a little bit of a tight spot. The pings are coming around either side, and the shield, I believe, might have just been popped. He's gone through the gate as Astro drops the camera, gives away some of the game, plays around the danger, but Cameraman in the meantime is saying, well, we know one's here, so let's swing around the opposite way. Good night. Bolo, as Souls is the man that swings around in the close corners, can't find it. Cyber is taken out of the freezer too, leaving just Geo holding on with that UMP on the backside. Cyber, though, pushes FaZe Clan back to that balance.
Now we have a 5-5, and that means that the next round is all to play for. The next round will decide who gets the one crucial map and match point in this series. The next round will decide who gets to put the pressure down onto the opposing team. And right now, FaZe able to set themselves up with one round. Normally, it gets followed up by another this matchup. Only once it did not. Either way, kitchen service, kitchen cooking is where we will go to, and this is the site where we saw FaZe go for the rush the previous time they were around here. That was round number 8. I dare to say we're not going to be seeing the same strategy again. I dare to say that they are going for a bit more of a traditional take, and will be making sure that they use this leverage that they are starting to build up to their advantage.
Huge round for Cyber there. Being able to get in so early with the support of obviously the drone work, waiting until they had that moment to strike, and it was, you know, handed to them on the idea that they did a jump out, couldn't quite get the kill, and they had the cover there already. But that's great positioning. That's teamwork. That's knowing that you're in the situation. Originally, you had another job. You found success in a different job, and then goes for the big rotation. Hits the Aruna gate, digs deep, and keeps applying this pressure to the top floor and the hold that's otherwise coming through. That energy has been a little bit missing from FaZe Clan, I think, at points.
Yeah.
In that they've gone for these aggressive, quick moments, but they haven't quite had the confidence that I think it requires and what this team can bring with the intel that they love to drive.
All right, 5-5, and TSM is setting up for a top floor roam. So it is up to FaZe now to decide whether or not they will try and go for this clear, as it could be so crucial. We all know how important the verticality can be on this site. We all saw the impact that Bolo was having when they were all pushing down from prep, and you really do not want to give him that for free. As it seems like, for now, it is not being challenged, and he is again setting himself up to go for these verticals.
Yeah, obviously last time they went for something very big, fast, and bold, but this time they're not deciding on the same approach, making sure that they weigh and measure and drone and grab the intel that I've said they drive so well, like this. The pings in the places where they're not quite able to catch them. There is the Kali getting the use we thought she might have before, and there's the catch on half of that. Went for it for a second, and then realize it's probably not going to happen, but that gives them this entrance. Geo has been able to keep himself this pocket of safety. He's actually trying to respond aggressively, sprays over the top, but Astro is the one that wins out the firefight now, with Bolo still keeping the lockdown from above achieved, has the possibility of a rotation. He's concerned from the watch over that small bake window. There's a big stretch and a big expansion of the TSM players at this moment in time, and FaZe, they're looking to see if they can try and take one more out of that before they go for their approach.
Have that 1-man advantage. They're going to try and make it 2, as you said, but first they need to make sure that they get the kill down onto Bolo, and I think this is exactly what Cyber will be doing to get him a cameraman. That's going to be a hot breach. That's going to be the shotgun that will be coming out, because they will know he's there. There he comes, and he spots him. No, he doesn't, but he will still get the kill. That is going to be elevating FaZe here into a potential round that puts them onto match point.
Well, Merc is just round the corner, and he could be the surprise factor. He blows the C4 somewhere else as a bullet hole, but look, FaZe has just gone into the site. Cyber's dropped in, and Charla locks him back out. A very important kill with Merc. Round the back of the white stairs, able to get a big bit of revenge, 40 seconds. And for the first time, FaZe has been scarpered a little bit on this approach. The diffuser is in a very tricky situation with Merc, keeping himself in this dangerous game. The hot ping says, we're watching, and you got 30 seconds, so you got to make a decision. You're going to try and push this hard, or are you going to wait for your build-up as before? There's one body that's above the freezer hatch. They're actually going for the rotate round under the back. They don't want to take the fight directly. Instead, recollecting the diffuser, going for the double ping. Merc swings one, gets dropped on the other, and that was the right decision. But with only 15 seconds, Achieve round the back, gets one more. The diffuser is cold yet again. It's all down to Charla. Keeping the lockdown, swings on one, pulls slightly further back. They know exactly where he is, and they have the cover on the diffuser. Can't make it. FaZe find themselves map point.
Do you see them? Do you hear them? They are cheering themselves on right now, and that might be exactly what they need. Map and match point will be theirs. After a bold play, getting the opening kill, then realizing there is going to be some vertical pressure coming down from Bolo. And the way to deal with that was a hot drop. Get the shotgun in, get the ITAS 12 in from the Jackal, and make sure that you're able to get that kill. Yes, TSM was able to bring it back. Yes, they brought it back to a 3-on-3 situation, but the crosses that FaZe was able to put up, they pulled themselves in for that victory, for that round victory. And this is putting TSM at 1 round away from being kicked into the lower bracket, where so many of the great teams that have been attending SI already have gone to. Are they going to be able to go down there as well, or will they be sent down there rather? As FaZe is looking to surprise them. FaZe is looking to secure themselves a spot in the top bracket. And we will be going to the top floor, to the side that we so very often see and very often was the primary bomb site of many of these teams. But I cannot think to help that TSM will feel a little bit of pressure right now, as FaZe are 1 round away from securing themselves the upper bracket.
My curiosity is piqued by the pick of the gridlock. I have a feeling we might see something quick.
It could be.
I mean, it's always, I guess
Carly doesn't fit for a
No, I know, but it's always the thing with FaZe is I'm like, they bring slightly out their operator. I'm like, they're going to try something bold.
They're going to rush.
Don't get me wrong, the standard way of that gridlock is locking off the staircases.
I think it might be used for white.
That makes sense. It does give you a bit of a bigger and bolder and louder hold. You can't slip past them. They're less damaging to a lot of things than an air jab.
Yep.
They're more obvious and easier to destroy if you've got the right gadgetry, but it's all if you've got the right gadgetry. If you have to shoot your way through, it's very audible. Cyber, in the meantime, is he aware? Yes, he is, but Merc is able to dip back, goes for a second. And that is a very big kill there. Cyber around the back of the white stairs gets some very early body control. Will FaZe push the pedal to the metal now? Now they have that pressure.
Keep in mind, only 4 kills to TSM over the last 2 rounds since the rehost here. Haven't really been able to get back into it. The tactical timeout of FaZe really seems to be working out. It really seems to be helping them so far, and now it is only them up against 4 TSM members and 2 whole minutes to try and get that plan down. The one struggle they have is going to be that vertical, and that's what they're going to try and deal with whilst dealing with the horizontal at the same time.
Well, Achieved is
side.
next to suffer now as they try and scream through. Underneath, it's Bolo on the back stairs. Gets one, goes for two, but there's a man that's coming up white window. He might not know. Covered by the sound of the track stingers up the top. Round the bottom, they're well aware that he slipped by, but he doesn't react in time. Bolo's able to get out of there around the top, and now is the backside of Charla covered, who's under a little bit of pressure from that new balk and from the split side, otherwise down deep. On Freezer could turn into a big bit of ingress there. FaZe could have locked up Revenge, but couldn't quite make it work. And Cyber, who's been such a big player over these past rounds since the rehost, is the next off the board. Bolo, who has been such a big player before, finally finds a little bit more success after.
Kill should have really come in from cameraman down there onto Bolo as he was rotating up the white stairs. That should have been a secure kill. That should have been a man advantage for FaZe, but we're dealing with the complete opposite. We're all equal now. The diffuser will be recovered, and FaZe is trying to find themselves a way to potentially enter because they have no control. Literally no control. They might be able to take Piano because there's a man repelled up right there, but there's still going to be Nitros from below. This is all set up for failure here. If they manage to pull this out with only 2 or 3 drones available to them, that is going to be very big for them, but I don't think they will. 20 seconds left on that clock. Bolo misses the shots though, and it's only up to Souls.
Didn't matter, the cover was elsewhere, and 10 seconds is all he's got to do is, kill most of them and get the diffuser and try and stick it. He gets the first down, locks it off. The pressure comes from underneath, though, and behind. And TSM, for their first time at SI, take us to groups. Take us to overtime.
Going back to groups,
We're not
everybody.
going back to groups.
No, thank not. I want to see all these best of threes coming out. Let's not go back to groups. Let's go to OT, indeed. First time for TSM.
That's the words I meant to say.
FaZe, they know what this is like. But they also just lost their map point. And you're looking back to when Bolo rotated up the stairs through all the track stingers and cameraman wasn't ready to reply. If he would have been able to pick up that kill, that could have swayed it the other way around. Let's just put it up like that. Either way, 6-6, and it is going to be an anyone's game right now. Whoever picks up the first puts the pressure down onto their opponent. As Bolo is picking out the Frost, as we are going to Bar Cocktail. Let's see whether or not someone will get their leg stuck in that welcome mat.
That kill against Cyber, I think it is the big blow that is being suffered to FaZe right now. He is the point on the tip of the spear. He's their first man in. He's often been the first one able to get blood and get bodies. He's clawed FaZe back into this game consistently across all of them. Him going down from that spray in that moment, that's TSM taking that advantage. And Souls has been able to double down as well. The two of them, between them, have locked off most of the kills. But Cyber on that entrance, whether it's him getting the kill or just physically entering the building, he's so quick and so consistently a problem for TSM.
He has been, yeah. And it's also incredible to mention Souls is playing on that Kali, is using that CSRX and the SPSMG9, that's the name, to get most of these kills. And it's quite interesting to see because it is not... Oh, that's a good drone, actually. Seems like they're perfectly aware of what Achieved is. It's going to be a bit of a dangerous challenge, you would almost assume.
Well, Achieved isn't going to take it. As of yet, that's what he's decided. And obviously, when we were kind of battling around the kitchen space before, it was a lot of trades. This time, the fight looked like it might start there, but has instead slowly filtered up. And again, look at this Cyber with this quick pace. He wants to find violence. And he's waiting for the rest of FaZe to stack up. They'll hear that over the back. Pre-fires through the window. Doesn't quite catch them on the slip away, but it's Cyber that goes down. Achieved. Read him like the book that he's surrounded with in the library. Plays behind the safety of the solid door frame to make sure he doesn't get sprayed on. But they've got to now see if they can capitalize and get a bit of a revenge, a bit of a response up top here as FaZe let loose and let slip that entrance.
Only 4 more drones available for them to try and actively scout out with. And of course, oh, actually, Cyber didn't even deploy his drone. So it's actually going to be the 4 of them to work with. For 1 minute and 40 seconds. It is a lot of time for a little amount of drones. And this might not really be what FaZe is looking out for. This is not what FaZe want. This is not the situation they'd like to be in. And TSM should be feeling quite confident, knowing that they took out so many of these drones.
Attackers have
But
dropped the bomb diffuser.
still,
Attackers
a heavy
recovered
hold.
the diffuser.
We have the shield down inside of the bathroom that will be denying basically everything in Piano, and that means they need to go for a hot drop. And they're setting up for it. Incendiary arrows, micro smokes, that's still available here on the Capitale, but they're still wondering whether or not they should go for it.
This is it. This is the moment that we see in FaZe players, this conversation. This around the minute mark, they will weigh up everything that they have and everything that they don't. And they've settled and decided on this is their best point of ingress. Opened up the rotations previously either side to make sure they can slip through as they burn, but the cover is going to come through. They know one's going to swing it on the close corners on the new bout, but there it goes. Souls with the first. They're going to try and stick it. There's an explosion underneath on the default, but it doesn't quite catch it. As Souls go down, they're going to stick it. They find it, but the cover comes through. It's a post plant. They just have to dig their way around with the one remaining player. Souls is down, but he's upstairs. They don't have the angle. They're trying to find the lock. They can't hear it. Have to take the drop in the fight, but this is TSM's round.
Cheering each other up. If you plant in that position, there is no angle. You can hold it from that top floor. And dropping down when 3 people are right on top of the diffuser there, that is not going to be working out well for them. They made the best, though, of a very dire situation. They managed to get the plant off, but unfortunately we're not able to keep the man count into their, well, at least a little bit more balance towards their own advantage. And that now leaves TSM onto a map and match point. FaZe just had theirs, TSM will now have theirs. If FaZe is going to be able to continue this and bring this back to a 7-7, then it will be literally anyone's game in that single round. And Reading Room Fireplace will be the side that FaZe decide to go to. With an alibi and a maestro. Combination right there, maybe trying to trick them, get the information out as TSM might be a little bit too quick on the trigger. With FaZe, they need to make sure that this one sticks.
We haven't seen success on bar until the very end of the game. And that's the moment. No, it's in terms of the defense, TSM took it both times on their attack, and then it was taken by FaZe. The first visits there as well. So what a moment to pull out that success, and we saw FaZe trying that play. It's what we highlighted at the very beginning of the game, is sometimes they'll play plays and they'll play them from the book. They've had one successful rush against TSM.
Out of the 4 tries.
Out of the 4 tries. And those sort of moments, as we said, TSM are so good at reacting. They're so good at being able to hear what's going on and hit the momentum when they need to. And that's the bit there, as it's kind of exemplified. They responded and reacted perfectly. They went for the default on the C4, couldn't quite get it, but then the rotation round on the other side to lock off from underneath. Achieved, who's always causing trouble wherever he is on the map, is able to make it happen yet again, and Cyber being the first body off the board.
Currently the opening kill advantage is 6-7 in favor of FaZe Clan. Doesn't really always result into a confirmed round, of course, but it is still a very important statistic to have going in your favor, because 70% of the rounds where you get an entry kill that is not directly traded out within 30 seconds, you know how it goes. 6-7. We see TSM trying to set up from different angles. Bolo is out at the door whilst the rest is on the roof.
Yeah, if we're going to talk about how great Cyber was on his entrance, Bolo was just as good on the attacks on Ash, putting up some huge numbers earlier on in the game. So that's why he's off by himself on the far side, seeing if he can cause some trouble and some problems as they steadily crack their way here across the top towards Pixel Corner to see if they can rid Bullet of the hold that he has here. He's got some options to fall back to. They've adapted a couple of different versions of this with a mirror, but it's the grenade of Merc that cooks and blows the man out the backside. They're going for a second all the way deep. Doesn't quite catch them, but Achieved is just round the corner. He's in a position to swing with Cyber offering the only bit of support, but Souls digs deep. Drops Merc all the way from the opposite side, sprays towards the possibility of some response, but nobody's home as FaZe is getting a little bit jittery after that revenge.
At least able to get the trade out, and you take Merc off the board. Of course, used the grenades. There's still one left and Achieved that could be used to secure a kill here or later on in the round. Look at Souls and the HP that he carries on that Maestro. Could be an angle that is throwable from the skylight if they decide to go for it. But Cyber here in a very good spot, able to pick up one. Gets two! Cyber, huge plays! Might keep them into the game right here if it isn't for Bolo that picks up the kill to Souls.
But the C4 from Cameraman finds Bolo on that window and puts it just to Geo. He's got one close, flashes and goes for the drop. Elsewhere, hits himself, but he's going to find himself shot. And FaZe Clan take us all of the way.
The cheer this time not as loud as it was when they reached match point the first time, because that's because of the fact that there's so much pressure onto the 15th round that these two teams will be playing here on Cafe. This round will decide who takes the win, who takes the upper bracket, and thus TSM decide to save their tactical timeout till the very, very last moment of the series here. Round number 15 is about to break down, and TSM decided it's time to talk.
Now, obviously, this applies to both teams. They're all allowed conversations with the coach, 45 seconds to work everything out, to give yourself solutions to the problems of how do we finally find an end to our opponents. They keep stepping into each other. They keep stepping up against each other. It is so back and forth, bitterly the entire time. And now there's no other option. One more round, one more dance before you find yourself in the lower bracket fighting every single game and every single map as if it's your last. As if, not to be fair, they've not done this, because my word, they have. Both teams have been able to give it their all in this final map after both suffered a piece and equally across the first two.
Yeah. Now it's do or die, and I don't know, you can see the TSM players, but FaZe, there is some happiness, there is some relaxing, people are stretching and they're laughing. Seems like they are feeling in a good mood to go into this very final round. This is the moment where it gets decided. Within the next 3 minutes and 45 seconds. The prep phase starts now, the last and final one for the series. And it is going to be FaZe that has to attack the bottom floor, the kitchen servers and kitchen cooking site of TSM. Now, they have managed to rush it once and they failed. The second time they took the control, but they couldn't get the plan down due to the man that was still present in Christmas. That leads you to think, what will they do now? Because they had side control. They managed to almost get that plan down. Then Geo, they had to go off to go for a kill. They had to go off again. And then suddenly we had the flank coming in from the Christmas market where 3 people were picked up through the feed hole. That is something they cannot allow to let happen again. And thus FaZe now needs to make a decision. What take will we execute? Will we go for a top-down approach, or will we go for a bakery, or maybe even a freezer push from pressure from the actual Christmas side as well? That is every single thing they need to discuss.
Well, a lot of pressure and pre-fire on all the likely places because, as I said, it's been a great series. Nobody has stepped back. People are stepping up to the challenge. They're stepping up to the fight to make sure that the fire is just as hot as it can and deserves to be on a best of 3. They slip into bakery. Cyber is going for this quick bout of pressure as Cameraman makes sure that any of the rotation around the backside is covered in those track stingers. They're going for this very flat open, but in both the time they rushed, look at this. Cyber is taking a different approach. The creep round the corner, pops it and pulls back. Doesn't want to take the danger as of yet. Last time they did a take like this, they then hopped to the top and started going for a clear above. I think they might try and slip through this time as Cyber goes for a massive rotation round to the back on the opposite side.
Gino trying to crawl back, making sure that he is staying safe and is not going to be the first one to drop because we know how important it may be. Look at the setup of the defenders though. That is going to be the entry from Bullet, but he instantly gets straight out by Merc, who takes Kojak under his control.
Creeps around the corner, and that opens up a bit of an avenue of space, but with Cyber holding the pinch on the far side, he drifts and he drops. dangerously Charla goes, but there is Bolo with a response, and this game is still so beautifully back and forth. Nobody is giving an inch because they know their opponents will take this mile. Dig Deeps has to go deeper. The smoke canister forces him to an uncomfortable situation, but he takes the fight. Astro is able to lock off Achieved, has the flat angle, but Kochek is where their number might get called from as Merc dances the danger angle all the way deep past that heavy machinery in the middle of the room. They're well aware, and Astro is the one that does the double. It's down to Bolo, but no! FaZe Clan make their mark on the grandest stage and find themselves knocking TSM down to the lower bracket.
Down they go, and FaZe will stay. The upper bracket will be their home. And they will knock down TSM, who, according to many, would have been the favorites from NA. And it's the story of today. Every single favorite you would maybe imagine, gone with them. Toss them down. Let them make a lower bracket run, because the upper bracket is for the underdogs today.
Well, you can see the stress on their face that game took. I'm sure TSM are going to be feeling that a bit as they find themselves, unfortunately, knocked down after a hell of a showing. We'll throw it over to Milos and the desk, and they'll break this one down for us.
Thanks so much, M and Hap. Yet again, our second. We're only halfway through, by the way. It's what is it, 5:30 p.m. almost here, and we're only halfway through our day with 2 matches that have left us on the edge of our seats, no matter where we are sitting here in the venue. FaZe Clan, map 3, max OT, and they take it. Incredible from Brazilian teams overall so far, but specifically from FaZe. Both teams bouncing between one another in this game.
Yeah. FaZe stepping up there really when it mattered, and they were able to obviously get the lock off there over on Cafe. I'm feeling pretty smug, Milos, I'm going to be honest with you. I called this one as a 2-1. It has come through as a 2-1, but ultimately it could have been anyone's. Going all the way to max OT, coming down to the final round again, exactly the same as our first game of the day. Is that a sign of things to come?